Hi guys, you're welcome. Thank you so much for clicking. So this Jewish man is going to discuss why they don't accept Muhammad and Jesus as prophets at all. They do not accept Prophet Muhammad as a prophet and Jesus as a prophet. So let's watch.
Assalamu alaikum to all the Jews and greetings to all the non-Jews. Today I want to talk about the reason why the Jews did not accept Muhammad and Jesus as prophets. Because I see there's a lot of confusions, I think, floating around there as to exactly why the Jews did not accept them. A lot of people think that because Muhammad was not a Jew, that's why we did not accept him. And I don't really think that's the main reason. In fact, Jesus was a Jew and we still didn't accept him. And another proof is that we had a prophet named Avadiah, who was by birth not a Jew. He was an Edomite. He converted to Judaism, and yet we accept him as a prophet. And according to at least one opinion in the Talmud, Job was a non-Jew, and yet we accept that he was a prophet. In either way, so exactly why did the Jews not accept Muhammad as a prophet, and Jesus for that matter? So in oral Torah we have a clear instructions on how to test a prophet. And what it says is basically like this. The first stage, there are two stages. So the first stage, we listen to what this potential prophet has to say. If he says something that contradicts the Torah, then automatically he fails the first part of the stage and he's considered to be a false prophet. Now what do I mean by contradicting the Torah? Where he tries to guide us away from the laws of Torah. So for example, if the prophet comes and says, the potential prophet comes and says that I am a prophet and I have a message from God and you should continue keeping the Torah and keeping the Sabbath, you should keep kosher, then the first part of the stage he would pass. Why? Because he's not contradicting. But if the prophet would come and say, from now on you don't have to keep the Sabbath anymore, you're allowed to eat this and this animal, camel for example, and rabbit, which the Torah clearly prohibited, then automatically he considered to have failed the first stage of the test. Now if he did not fail the first stage, then we go on to stage 2. The stage 2 is basically that he has to predict something in the very near future, and that thing, whatever he predicts, has to be something very unlikely to happen, and that thing has to happen to the exact details as he has predicted. So for example, the example given actually in the oral Torah is like this, that if the prophet says, tomorrow you will see rain with blood at 6 o'clock, rain with blood, which is obviously very, nobody sees such a phenomena. It's a very rare occurrence, even if such a thing does ever happen. And we wait until the next day. And by the way, all this is done by the Sanhedrin, by the sages, by the Jewish court. And we wait until the next day, and we see that really, in the evening, the rain with blood descended. But what happened? Instead of 6 o'clock, it came at 5:55, for example, 5 minutes off. Then this is considered to be a false prophet, because a true prophet of God has to know all the details, to the minor details. And if he gets one little minor thing wrong, then he's considered to be a false prophet. And now you can obviously ask a question, but if he's a false prophet, how did he even come that close? And the answer to that is that there are other methods. Other than getting the messages from God, there are other methods. And in fact, the example given is that the advisors of Pharaoh were able to predict certain things about Moses, and but they couldn't predict them in to the minor details. They knew roughly what's going on. It's like sorcery, astrology maybe. So this is the difference between those people and the real prophet. The real prophet knows exact details. As far as the Muhammad goes, the way I understand it, for whatever reason our sages not consider him to be convincing enough. And I assume that he failed in the first stage. Why? Because when he came out with the message of the Quran, at least the message that I understand the Quran to be is today, is that if a Jew converts to Islam, he doesn't have to keep the laws of the Torah anymore. So for example, he doesn't have to keep the Sabbath, he can eat camel and rabbit, and therefore that means that Muhammad contradicted what we have in the Torah. When Hashem gave us the Torah, He split the sea for us. He led us through the desert. He rained manna to us for almost 40 years. And when he revealed the Torah to us, it says that all Jews, not just Moshe, all Jews heard God directly. So we were all prophets. All the Jews were prophets at that time. And in fact, it says that even the lowest maid understood more at that time than the great prophets in the future, the great prophets of Israel. So therefore, whatever we experience, nothing can ever contradict that. No other book can ever contradict that experience that we had at the Revelation on Mount Sinai. And therefore, the way I understand, Muhammad and Jesus, for that matter, failed at stage 1. But even if they passed stage 1, assuming they would say that, you should keep the Torah exactly as it's written, but I am a prophet of God and I have another extra message for you, or a prophecy for you, then in that case we would move on to stage 2. And as far as stage 2, I've talked to some Muslims about what exactly did Muhammad predict that came true, and what he said was that he predicted that the Muslims will win a war against the Romans between 2 and 9 years. And now, obviously, according to the Jewish standard of testing a prophet, that's definitely not good enough. Between 2 and 9 years, the Muslims will win a war. If he gets 5 minutes wrong, as the example I just gave, if he gets 5 minutes wrong, that's already considered makes him a false prophet. So, but this was just one Muslim that I talked to. If somebody feels there are other things and want to comment on my video, or please be free to do, and I would love to hear and chat about it. Thank you.
Okay, so based on his own view, he believed that the reason why they don't accept Muhammad and Jesus as prophet, because he felt like they did not give some prophecy that came to pass in this our time. But my point is, did they actually give prophecy back during their time that came to pass? That's number one question. Because you expecting them to give prophecy based on our own time, I don't know what kind of prophecy are we all expecting from them. As long as they could actually showcase the power of God, they could do the work of God during their time, is enough proof. He made mention of the fact that there was no prophecy that came to pass based on the Torah, and based on that they said all Jewish are prophets. I'm kind of lost. That statement made me feel so lost. I don't really understand that aspect. The prophet, I'm kind of confused. I'm very, very confused. I need more clarification on that particular statement. But him saying that, because of prophecy, he does not think they are prophets because there's no prophecy of them that was proclaimed that came to pass. And his major point was on Muhammad. But let me know your point of view, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.